What if Horus never fell to chaos? The Horus Heresy was not inevitable. It was not destiny. It was not prophecy. It was the result of one wound, one lie, and one moment of doubt. And if Horus Lupercal had never fallen to chaos, the Imperium would not have become kinder. It would have become unstoppable. In canon, Horus is chosen as Warmaster, the Emperor's most trusted son. But pride, isolation, and manipulation turn him against everything he was built to protect. His fall fractures the Imperium. The heresy consumes half the galaxy, and the Emperor is broken at Terra. Everything that follows in Warhammer 40,000 begins with Horus saying yes. But in this timeline, one thing changes. Horus is still wounded on Davin, but Erebus is discovered. The ritual is interrupted, the vision is incomplete, and Horus never kneels. He survives, shaken, scarred, but loyal. From this moment forward, the galaxy does not burn. It tightens. The first consequences are not military. They are psychological. Horus returns to the Great Crusade suspicious, not of the Emperor, but of certainty itself. He no longer trusts visions, he no longer trusts prophecy, and most importantly, he no longer trusts his brothers blindly. Lorgar's sermons are tolerated, but watched. Magnus's warnings are taken seriously, and the word-bearers are quietly isolated from key campaigns. Horus does not accuse, he observes, and chaos realizes too late that it has lost its best weapon. The Imperium adapts fast. With Horus loyal, dissent never finds oxygen. Potential traitors hesitate, alliances never form, rebellions die before they begin. The Emperor notices the change immediately. For the first time since unification, he begins to trust the future. The Webway Project continues uninterrupted. The Primarchs remain scattered but loyal, and the Great Crusade accelerates instead of collapsing. Chaos does not retreat, it recalculates. This is the moment the canon future becomes unreachable. Without the heresy, the Imperium never fractures. Without fracture, there is no desperate faith. Without faith, chaos starves. The Emperor completes the Webway Project. Humanity begins transitioning away from warp dependence. And this is where the irony emerges. Chaos fails, not because it is destroyed, but because it is ignored. The Imperium becomes efficient, relentless, cold. Compliance is swift, resistance is erased. There is no 10,000-year war. There is conquest. This timeline is not brighter, it is harsher. Without the heresy, there is no lesson learned, no humility, no fear of overreach. The Imperium becomes what the Emperor always feared, a flawless machine with no soul. Xenos civilizations vanish entirely, human dissent is preemptively erased, and individuality becomes a liability. Chaos survives, thin, patient, waiting for stagnation, because even perfection decays. 10,000 years later, humanity rules the galaxy, not through worship, not through fear, but through inevitability. The Emperor still lives, Horus still serves, the Imperium still expands, and yet something vital is missing. There are no heroes left, no rebellion, no hope, because hope implies uncertainty. The galaxy is unified and completely hollow. History does not remember this era as a golden age. It remembers it as the end of choice. Because when Horus never fell, humanity did not suffer. It submitted perfectly. In Warhammer 40,000, victory can be just as damning as defeat. But this timeline only exists because the Primarchs were still scattered, and if they had not been, unity would not have been imposed, it would have been absolute. The Horus Heresy fractures the Imperium, wounds the Emperor, and shapes 10,000 years of endless war. But in this alternate timeline, the moment that defines the galaxy never happens. The ritual on Davin is interrupted. Horus survives, loyal, watchful, and changed. And from that single divergence, the future of humanity transforms into something far more unsettling. 10,000 years later, humanity rules the galaxy completely, yet individuality fades, rebellion disappears, and even hope loses meaning in a civilization where uncertainty no longer exists. Victory is achieved, but at the cost of choice. This cinematic alternate timeline documentary explores the deeper question rarely asked in Warhammer 40K. Was the Horus Heresy humanity's greatest disaster, or the only thing that prevented an unstoppable Imperium? Subscribe for cinematic Warhammer lore documentaries, alternate timelines, and deep grimdark analysis.